Our reason for being as a species is connection. I know, it's a little controversial, but let's take this with a little patience and talk this through. Please note that for the last 11 months, for the most part, we have been more disconnected than we've been in 100 years. How has that felt? So many of us have reported increased mental health issues, from anxiety to depression to generally feeling ill at ease, not just with uncertainty, but with the fact that we're not in contact with as many people as we used to be. This is a big thing to note, and this takes me back 20 years to conversations that I had with my evolutionary psychology professor, Dr. David Buss. We would rattle on for hours about the reason we are here as a human species. His expertise, evolutionary psychology, basically stated that we're here to continue our genetic code into the next generation. We're here to survive. Mind you, at the time I was also taking extensive behavioral neuroscience courses, ethics courses, you name it. So I was neck deep in all kinds of philosophical things that I wanted to throw at David and talk a little bit about. But he's right. We're here to survive. And how did we survive as a species? We survived through connection with the environment. And what I'd like to do is reference, just quickly, the work that co-founder Robin Connolly has done in some videos recently, referencing Dr. Cliff Capono, and how he has shown in extensive research with surfers in the ocean how connected we are to the environment on a molecular level. Amazing work. Go ahead and have a look at those other videos. Robin's recently posted them, the team's recently posted them. I want to talk a little bit about connection from the perspective of social connection. And I want to preface this with just a little food for thought here. As a species, we have learned to survive socially. We do it in groups. And what that means from an evolutionary perspective, thank you, David Buss, is that we have built-in mechanisms, both biologically, physiologically, and socially, to reinforce good social connections. That means that things happen in our bodies, in our minds, when we connect well. That's right. So, bottom line, we are here to connect. That's our reason for being. That's going to be the premise of this conversation. There's so much about the Chosen program, about the resilience program that we discuss. It's built into our neurophysiology. So, bottom line, how does this translate to what's happening to us now, and how do we get back to a place where connection is the focal point of what we're doing and doing well as a species, as individuals in our daily lives in 2021? So first and foremost, how do we cultivate connection in a way that makes it so that we can kick ass moving forward and recover ourselves, our families, our professional lives, our personal lives from the COVID epidemic? First and foremost, connection is something that we can cultivate. And when we connect, truly connect, we do it from a perspective of listening. So number one, we do this thing called listening for understanding. And this is contrasting what actually puts us into fight or flight mode, which is listening for response. So listening for understanding is the number one way to cultivate connection. Make sure to do this during the holiday season. See how it works with the people around you. Bottom line, when you listen to understand, that means you're not interrupting, you're fully present, you're asking questions to deepen the conversation, deepen the knowledge that you're getting from the other person. There are neurotransmitters that are released into the brain: dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin. Oxytocin is your love hormone. It makes you feel loved. So when you listen for understanding, the person who's being listened to feels loved. The amazing thing is when you listen for understanding, without interrupting, without giving any unsolicited advice, being fully present, and asking questions to deepen the knowledge, like, tell me more about that. You also feel the same rush of endorphins, the same rush of oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin. This is so that it reinforces the fact that you both are there connecting. That's right. It is listening for response. So listening for response is something that is actually detrimental for us. And this is something that every single one of us has a friend that will jump in and interrupt and tell you their own story of that one thing very similar to yours. Or even worse, they offer unsolicited advice when you are telling the story to them. What this does is puts us into fight or flight mode. You feel attacked. You feel unheard, uneasy. You feel unsafe. So, the next time you're listening for someone and you're waiting to respond with your own story or unsolicited advice, catch yourself. You're about to be that guy or that girl that no one wants to be. So, connection, in summary, is why we're here. And the number one way that you cultivate connection is listening for understanding. The way you listen for understanding is that you're fully present. You ask deepening questions, like, tell me more about that. You do not interrupt, and you do not, under any circumstances, give unsolicited advice. If for some reason in your head you're like, oh my God, I got this story, there is one hack that I'm going to give you guys to make sure that you can listen for understanding. Is as you're listening to the person, repeat the words they're saying in your head. It doesn't have to be much. Just say them to yourself. That'll interrupt the monkey brain. That'll make it so that you're fully present. So, connection, it's why we're here. Listening for understanding, it's how we do it. There's 4 ways to enforce it. And until next time, this is John Stanton, co-founder of Chosen, sitting here on a beach in Indonesia, showing you that the world will be open sometime soon. And until then, light and love. Have an amazing holiday season.